I'm Julie Chatman in Washington, D.C., with a somber but necessary message, which is you can absolutely lose hundreds of thousands of dollars to social engineering scams and fraudsters. And there are two stories I'm going to share to underscore that point. Again, this can happen to someone just like you and someone just like me because we are human, and fraudsters use our data and human emotions, such as fear and feelings of urgency, plus our propensity to act on them without pausing to think. In the first story, Scott Zoll handed $137,000 from his business and personal accounts over to a fraudster who used telephone number spoofing to make their texts and calls appear legitimate. It all began with a text message to Scott, appearing to come from Chase Alerts, inquiring about a $4,500 wire transfer. Scott did the sensible thing. He reached out to his business partners and to Chase Bank. Scott's business partners confirmed that they weren't transferring any money, and the Chase Bank representative gave Scott the number to Chase's fraud department. At this point, Scott was probably very concerned, perhaps even afraid that $4,500 would be stolen from him, and he probably wanted to stop that as soon as he could. He responded to the text to share that he did not initiate the wire transfer, and he received a text message back indicating that Chase Fraud would be in touch with him shortly. Then, the fraudster called Scott from the same number that the Chase Bank representative gave him for Chase Bank's fraud department. To be clear, the fraudster used technology to make it appear that their call originated from Chase Bank's fraud department. The telephone number for Chase Bank's fraud department is available online. When the call with the fraudster dropped, Scott called Chase Fraud to resume the problem solving. When Chase Fraud could not confirm the conversation Scott was having with the fraudster posing as Chase Fraud, Scott became frustrated. He responded to the fraudster when they called him back. The fraudster knew Scott's bank account number and his bank account balance. This is not unusual. A lot of our data is available for sale on the dark web. The fraudster asked Scott to share the one-time passcode that he received from Chase, and Scott did that. The fraudster then accessed and drained his accounts. They used Scott's fear and sense of urgency in combination with his data to take $137,000 from him. The second story is about Charlotte Coles. Charlotte is a journalist for the New York Times, and she writes a financial advice column. Charlotte lost $50,000 to fraudsters posing as an Amazon representative, a Federal Trade Commission liaison, and a lead investigator with the Central Intelligence Agency. Charlotte's experience began when a fraudster posing as an Amazon representative told Charlotte that her account had $8,000 in fraudulent purchases and said that she could be the victim of identity theft. The fraudster then connected Charlotte with another person claiming to be Amazon's FTC liaison. This person shared a badge number, asked Charlotte about the contents of her bank account, and then told her that 9 vehicles, 4 properties, and 22 bank accounts were registered in her name. This person passed Charlotte on to another fraudster who was posing as the CIA lead investigator for her case. Now, Charlotte was suspicious at this point, but the fraudster was calling from what appeared to be the FTC's main phone number, and they started talking about things like freezing her assets and replacing her Social Security number. At this point, Charlotte was probably feeling all kinds of things from anxiety to fear. The fraudster was able to convince Charlotte to withdraw money from her bank and give it to him. He said that money laundering charges may be coming Charlotte's way, and that allowing the CIA to convert the money to a government check using her new Social Security number would help her. Ironically, when Charlotte went to her bank, which is Bank of America, to withdraw the money, the bank teller gave Charlotte a handout with warnings about scams. Still, Charlotte put the $50,000 into a shoebox and gave it to someone who showed up in front of her house in a white Mercedes SUV. Here are four knowables. Fraudsters have our data. They use it to make their engagements with us seem legitimate. If someone calls you from a bank or a retailer and shares information about you with you, be suspicious. Second, fraudsters use fear and urgency to take advantage of us. So stop, breathe, pause, and think when presented with something urgent about your finances or goods and services via text or phone. Third, if someone calls you claiming to be from a bank or a retailer that you commonly use, hang up and call the bank teller or retailer yourself. And four, companies and government agencies use reputable payment methods, and they will never ask for cash, gift cards, or cryptocurrency. They will not request payment over peer-to-peer payment apps like PayPal or Venmo, and no legitimate organization or government agency will ever ask you to take out cash. Visit 505updates.com for a transcript of this recording and links to information about protecting your money from fraudsters. Stay safe out there.